On today's episode of Pathmonk Presents, I've got a very special guest with me joining today. Please welcome Josh Rapper, who is the VP of Marketing at Affinity Answers Corporation. So, for all of you who don't know, Affinity is one of the biggest companies in terms of data solutions and services. They help brands better understand and activate against an ever-changing market, customer base, and competition. Josh, thank you so much for joining us today. It's an honor to have you on our show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely. We're lucky to have you here. So for all of our listeners out there, tell us, what does Affinity Answers do overall?
So in the simplest of terms, we're a performance data company. We help companies use data to create audiences that better target their customers. At a broad level, or you could say a marketing level, we call it behavioral intelligence for the customer obsessed. Our data goes a little bit deeper than, let's say, broad demographics or even past purchase. We try to understand customer behavior because in that way, we can reach them at any part of their journey, whether it be broad awareness, intent, and then ultimately down to kind of consideration and purchase. A lot of the misconceptions about targeting is that targeting narrows. It always, creates a narrow niche audience. And that's kind of as we think of it, but also targeting can be very broad, right? You can create targeted audiences at scale that just kind of erase the noise, or you can create incredibly specific niche audiences that really can target people based on their smallest of interests, or, a smallest of cohort of people who are all interested in, one very specific thing. Ultimately, we create better targeting so companies can optimize their performance, whatever that may be, whether it be increasing your reach or lowering your acquisition costs or, conquesting competitors, et cetera.
Oh, wow, that's incredible, especially with what you guys are doing, within your market. So in terms of the problems that you solve for your clients, you've already talked about it, where, performance data company, helping them get all this data. And I want to dive a little deeper. Aside from that, what other things, in your opinion, would you say that you also help for your clients as well?
Well, I think we ultimately help our clients do two things. We help them target, but we help them understand their customers a little bit better as well. So clients come to us and they want to know, they can know a little bit more about who they're targeting before they kind of target them. So our kind of, secret sauce, as it were, is social data. So we like to say we have the largest continuous study of social data in the world. So across Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Reddit, Twitter, we have a matrix factorization algorithm that kind of combines all of that data to understand the intersection between people and all the things that they love. So brands, celebrities, music artists, movies, etc. If they're into it, we understand that. And then through that, we can create incredibly privacy compliant, I think we all need to say that, privacy compliant cohorts of people with shared interests. So not only is it important for people to be able to, or companies to be able to target, their ideal customers the way they shape them, it's also important for them to understand more about their customers, maybe outside of their specific category context, right? So if you are selling an automobile, and maybe most of your data has to do with how people shop for automobiles. But what else about that person, right? What are the other triggers that these people have? What else are they into that can also shape, the way they engage with the automotive industry? That's kind of how we help people.
Wow, it's amazing. Thanks for explaining that to me in depth as to how you solve these issues for your clients. Now, speaking of clients, who are they? From what industries, do your clients mainly come from? Do you focus on certain industries versus the other?
In a way, yes. So we, from a programmatic data and from an advanced TV data standpoint, we service almost every major company. So about 400 plus companies every year will use our data within their marketing campaigns. And this goes through their media agencies or goes through their internal media groups, where they will select audiences because of our specific targeting, or create custom audiences directly with us in order to target their customers. Because we have targeting with scale, we can work with any size customer. Recently, we've started working with direct to consumer customers, and these can be much smaller. Smaller companies that want to inevitably get down to optimizing consideration or really lowering acquisition costs, right? How can I improve my CAC? The interesting thing about our algorithm, we call it True Affinity, this kind of social data graph, is that it can actually work down on the platform level. So if you work within Meta or if you work within a Twitter ad platform, we actually can go all the way down to the keyword level, because that's basically what we work in. That's the way our data works. So there's a lot of buzz in the world right now that says, the best way to use Google, the best way to use Meta is to just do broad targeting and let their own algorithm do the work for you, right? It's going to figure it out, because they've really narrowed their abilities or outside companies' abilities to really target within their platforms. And they've done it kind of on purpose. And what we do is we try to help companies cheat that with better intelligence in order to kind of get better results than their competitors.
Wow, that's incredible, especially with the fact, 400 plus companies are using your services to be able to help complete their, campaign goals and whatever they need to identify the touch points in their strategy. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
So now, in terms of your clients, how do they typically find you? What would you say is your top client acquisition channel?
So, there are a couple of different ways. So we are blessed to work with 3 amazing channel partners. We work with LiveRamp, we work with IOTA, and then we work with Oracle. And so we have great partner relationships. We create different partner co-advertising, co-sponsorship opportunities where they're in front of a lot of their clients because they own marketplaces where people go and buy audiences. And then we do partnering strategies with them. That's a big way to introduce ourselves to a broader network of people who are in the audience space. We also are quite active on LinkedIn. So from an overall targeting perspective, I hope we're good at this. From an overall targeting perspective, really looking at companies and looking at job titles, I think that's where LinkedIn comes in. And then overall, just lead capture from our website as we get that traffic, as we're trying to capture leads. And then we have quite a robust CRM and emailing and overall just content generation. We create a lot of content for our customers, and they look for it ultimately, not only through newsletters that we create, but also LinkedIn and white papers and things like that.
That's awesome. So you really prepare your clients like, hey, here are all the sources that you need, here are all the tools and able to be able to help you maneuver this as well, like being very transparent as well.
Yeah, and news. The data space right now is layered with controversy. It's a moving target. Privacy is on everybody's mind. So what's privacy compliant? Because at the end of the day, if you're a client, you're buying data that isn't privacy compliant, you're just as culpable as the data provider that's providing that, right? So we help clients better understand the privacy landscape as we're understanding the privacy landscape as it evolves.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's great overall. So now we're going to talk about the website. So what would you say are the major strengths of your company's website, but then also where are there opportunities for room for improvement as well?
Yeah, I think what we've been working on over the last 2 or 3 years is clarity, right? So I think what we're trying to make as people get introduced to our company, because a lot of this is top funnel, right? People are being introduced to the company. They want to learn more. So they're going to the website just to understand. And so I think what we're focusing on is getting to that point. I think one of the weaknesses that we're trying to address from an overall behavioral standpoint is then how to engage. We were talking briefly just before the interview that we are not a we can't close the deal on our website, right? And from an overall lead gen, our next steps aren't usually, hey, let's have a call, because people understand the data. You don't need to have a demo for the data. We're just trying to drive an impact and impression so that when you leave and think about your own data journey and how you're going to succeed within your audiences, you're thinking of us, you're thinking of our unique value proposition. So how do we leave that with people as they leave the site? I think that's what we're trying to figure out.
No, okay. No, definitely getting them to complete your goal, like converting. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So now we're going to switch gears. I'm going to talk about you as a leader. So with being the VP of marketing, what does an average day look like for you?
Well, man, leader. Strong word. Basically, there are amazing people at Affinity Answers and within the marketing team that ultimately execute on a vision. And I think as it's my job to work with all of the different sides of the business, product, sales, ultimately executive, to kind of come up with this vision. What is the positioning for our company? How do we want to present ourselves in the market? And then hopefully make it as clear to the people who are executing this vision through the website, through the content that we create, through the advertising and the marketing, make it as clear as possible for them to then go do what they do best, which is really executing on this, and really putting the things together that make our company look as good as it does.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. So you're, agile and, jumping to what needs to be done and seeing, how can we be able to always position ourselves as, where we are in the market and, understanding the product, any potential updates. Yeah. So you're definitely, jumping from different departments when necessary.
Well, I think of any job, of anything I've ever worked in, data is definitely the most constantly changing. Every day you can wake up and say, well, that was our objective yesterday. Now our objective is to do X, Y, and Z, right? And then you're constantly have these opportunities to create new products, create new opportunities for people to succeed as new data sources come in, because we also get new data sources all the time. So our product people and our engineers, our data engineers and data scientists are brilliant, and they're constantly thinking of new things, and they bring them and you're like, oh, wow, okay, what can we do with this? And how do we market this? And how do we put this into everything else that we've built?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're at the end of our interview today, and I want to thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. But I also want to give you the last word. If someone were to forget about everything we've talked about in your interview today, what is the one thing you want them to remember about your company overall?
The one thing is that be customer obsessed. No matter what industry that you work in, customers are always at the center of it, and you will never waste time or waste effort by learning more and more about your customers, their behavior, and how they interact with things inside and outside your category. That is the key to any industry, to any category, to any company, to success. And whether it be with us, whether it be with any other data source, there's so much data out there that can be used and brought to bear to better understand customers. I feel like a lot of people feel helpless that they don't understand customers, and they can't. You can, it's all out there. Be customer obsessed. The more you know, blah, blah, blah. That's going to be your path and key to success.
Amazing. I love the way you said that, be customer obsessed, which is true. And it's the more you understand the customer, the easier you'll be able to, strategize for your marketing, with your sales, whatever it may be. So you summed it up perfectly.
Thank you. Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you so much again for joining us. And for all of our listeners out there, check us out next week